Let us begin our critique of our finalists for Tornado Photo of the Year. And we had 11 because there was a tie at I don't remember what image or what. I'm not even going to say, but there was a tie at 10th place. So we just had a top 11 and all deserving because they all deserve to be here. And very, very tough to narrow it down. Great year for some wonderful different tornado shots from all over, from angry and nasty to beautiful. So Mike, you haven't got to comment on any of these. So again, we appreciate Mike being here. He's at an airport, and we're going to let him talk a lot and to pass his 8-hour layover or whatever till his next flight. So he might as well do something with his time, and we're glad to have him. So Mike, why don't we go ahead and start off with one of the most amazing tornado photos we've ever seen.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I could be in my nap pod right now, but here I am. No, it's always fun, man. So, yeah, there's. I mentioned it earlier. I can't remember which category we're talking about, but there's tornado photos, and they kind of get repetitive. And then there's these that just kind of are here, hold my beer, watch this. This is a wonderful shot. I love the atmosphere within it. I mean, first off, big, dusty, Burly tornado, right? I love the feeling of energy within the frame. I think that's the thing that grabs me right off the bat. All the dust and dirt just screaming across the frame. It makes you feel like you are right there, and you can almost feel the wind. It's also got really cool color contrast to it. Obviously this is not something the photographer intentionally did. This is just nature doing nature things, but it works really well. You have the warm tones within the dirt, the cooler tones within the sky, and those balance each other out really well. Here comes the announcement again. I apologize. The only thing that gets me on this one, that is kind of the elephant in the room, is the highlights on the right side. Okay, so I don't know the dynamic range of whatever this was shot on, but if you can tone down those highlights, keep them brighter. Obviously, that's where your light source is, but tone them down a little bit to the point where it's not competing with this massive, crazy, wild, wicked-looking tornado. Then I think that's the only thing I can suggest on this shot here.
You're not going to nitpick that they should stand, if you're going to stand in the road, stand right in the dead center middle of it?
I will never tell anybody to stand on railroad tracks or in the middle of the road. But yes, that is a good point, Mike.
No. I just can't. You know what? I don't even. That's a almost like an inside joke of what we have said many times in our critiques. But when you have a situation like this, you're just praying to God it's in focus and that you get a steady shot, and your adrenaline is probably going, and you have no tripod, and you're just hoping that your shot is steady. So kudos to this photographer. So.
I do have a question though, and I'm curious if this is on my end from Wi-Fi or whatnot. Is the left side of the image, is that darker, or?
There might be a little bit of a vignette in the left, bottom left corner and top left corner, but yeah. It's also pretty grainy. But it was shot. It looks like handheld f4 ISO 3200 just to get. A 1/320th shot, but that's what you got to do.
Oh yeah.
You can't get f8 and do a quick shutter speed. This thing would be a blur, right in front of you. So
this is the perfect moment to stop, set up a tripod, do a long exposure,
make a sandwich.
Yeah, make a sandwich.
Set up your lawn chair and sip an old fashioned and enjoy the tornado. All right, so the same photographer, which I believe is just moments before that one, probably not a whole lot of time before that one, and Mike, it's a very gnarly looking tornado there.
Yeah, this is beefy. I mean, I think it's a fantastic photo. Once again, conveys so much energy. I love the perspective. I actually think I like the perspective of this one better than the previous image because you have a little bit of the car incorporated in there, so you're feeling kind of the energy amongst the chase, right? It's got the motion blur, so you're feeling that movement of you towards the tornado. The tornado's got that lean to it, so you can feel the tornado moving left to right. There's a lot going on in regards to energy and movement and motion here. Um, you know, I don't know if there's much I do differently here. Maybe crop in from the left side a little bit just to kind of get a little bit closer and tighter with the area of interest. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, these are all shots that you're just like, yeah, that'd be cool having one of those.
Yeah. And this is definitely one of those shots that we kind of talk about the difference between taking your time and doing a great, landscape shot with a tripod, and sometimes just you got to get the shot. And this one is just beautifully framed and captured, with motion on the corners and the sides, but also sharpness in the tornado. And it's technically tough sometimes to do this, and they did it very, very well.
And if you think about it too, though, like here, if you were in a position to say pull over and frame up a shot on a tripod or whatever you want to call it, with a field, I don't think it'd be as impactful of a frame. This kind of is the hecticness of what chasing is, and in that moment. And I mentioned earlier too that like having a horizon level is so key. But there are moments where it's not necessarily, I don't want to say the right thing to do, but needed. And even if they were a little or tilted here, I think it would add just to the energy as well of the frame.
And something that Mike Olbinski had mentioned previously is that this almost could have been in the photojournalism category. Because of how much of a storytelling image this is. So that's something to keep in mind, photographers in future seasons, these types of images that when you look at it, you get a feeling in your gut. Like my adrenaline went up when this image came up on the screen. If it's giving you an emotional reaction, that can go into a photojournalism category. Very powerful image. I love everything about it.
Jen, I know we're gonna let Mike talk, but I just know Jen really liked this image. So I'm just gonna let you say something about it first, and then we'll throw it to Mike to see what he thinks.
Yeah, so many really neat things happening in this frame. Lots of interesting balance. There's highlights on both ends. We've got really interesting color. And I love the way your eye is drawn all over this image. When your eye goes on a journey through a frame, then that's a mode of success. And that little swirly at the very top, it's just like a piece of candy, and I want to pluck it out and I want to eat it.
Well, I just got hungry. Yeah, no, this is definitely a really cool moment. It almost feels like a ghost tornado, right? It's like got this ghostly look to it. I love the colors. I love the fact that they didn't go super tight on this, so you can see that kind of corkscrew up there in the clouds. I think that's such a beautiful part of the frame. It ties it all together. What is that in the middle of the field? Is that a house? Is that
It's a car.
Car?
Actually, someone's standing there. A couple people are looking at it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's actually windmills back there too. I didn't see that.
In the dust. Yeah, it's pretty close actually. From looking at it, it looks like it's just right there, like a half mile away or something. For you, one comment, because you don't get to see the settings. Maybe this was actually shot at 14 millimeter, which means they're probably looking almost straight up at that, where the funnel's coming out of the base there.
Was this the day in the Texas Panhandle?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that land spout in the Panhandle.
Land spout, yeah. No, I mean, awesome catch, just overall. And once again, the scale. They could have moved down the road. They could have driven down that road with whoever that is down there. But having the car in there, once again, tells the story, right?
Yeah, I have no nitpicks really. Only thing I would do is get rid of this little fence post thing here, because it's like this one thing in the middle of the frame, and that's the only thing about it that getting rid of that kind of isolates the car for me and makes this just 100%, amazing. So tiny little nitpick thing. It goes back to what Mike, you said in another one, which is just scan the edges of your frame when you're done and see if anything might be a little distracting.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. One last thing here, just kind of tip, because it doesn't look like it's been done, but when you have really cool textures or structure in a cloud, right? Coming up like that little swirl up there, little corkscrew. If they came in with a very low opacity burn, on some of those shadows up there, they can really kind of accentuate that. And obviously it's up to them how much they want to do, but it really helps draw the eye up there, because I feel like, with people that are familiar with storms, we kind of know, hey, look what's up there. Is there a funnel up there or whatnot? But for those who aren't, it might help kind of draw their eye up there to be like, hey, look up here. There's a secondary subject for you to check out. So that's my only feedback there.
Awesome. All right. Here's obviously a photo from, I think it was the photojournalism category, with a dump truck with this tornado. And then the dump truck looks like it took the right move and left, because the tornado looks closer to the road now, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but I love that this photographer took our advice at some point and stood right in the middle of the road. It's about as center as you can get on that stripe. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, the center line works here. I almost dropped the computer, sorry. Center line works. The dump truck was nice earlier. It's good to see that they made the wise choice. This is just a very nice, clean image. And honestly, to see tornado shots now without cars everywhere parked on the side of the road, I feel like is becoming more and more of a rarity. So to see a shot like this that's just clean, it's really refreshing. Only thing, crop in just maybe a smidge tighter from the center top, and that will kind of get that highlight up there in the top right corner and on the right side of the frame to kind of be gone, and brings you in a little bit more intimately to the scene, because there's just nothing above, let's call it the top maybe quarter that's of real substance. So
good, like a 16:9 crop or something to take out the top there and make this feel a little more cinematic would probably elevate it even more. I kind of agree with you there. So all right, we'll go on to this next one, which I think when we kind of go over our judging grades, we have a bunch of columns that we're like, what's the tone look like and the composition? And one of them is the uniqueness. And I'm like, I don't know how you get more unique than like dual tornadoes like this, especially when you are this close to it. The videos and stuff from this tornado or dual tornadoes or whatever from Colorado was just ridiculous. So congrats to this photographer for making it. Mike, what do you wish you were there for this, or?
Nah, I'm glad I was on my couch. First off, is it 2 or 3 tornadoes? What's in between there?
It might be 3. It might be 3. I mean,
something going on there.
It looks like it. It looks like it.
Hopefully it's not 3, because then I'll be even more upset. But
yeah, maybe there's 4. Maybe there's one over here too. Maybe there's a 4th. I mean,
right.
I don't know.
No, I think obviously the moment is just okay. Wow, almost kind of very Dodge City-ish in a way from way back when with the 2/2.5, maybe 3. But the only thing that gets me is it feels off balance to the left. It feels there's a little bit too much negative space on the right. Like, it's always good to kind of give a subject, if it's moving, room to move into. But I would love to see that kind of C shape to the cloud on the left-hand side a little bit more in the frame. But I mean, obviously, just wonderful moment, great shot. I think just compositionally, just pan to the left just a smidge, and that would, because you got two tornadoes, right? They should kind of balance each other out. And what I tell my workshop students is think about everything in your frame has weight to it. So if that tornado on the left has weight and that tornado in the middle has weight, but there's nothing to the right to kind of counteract that, it feels very left heavy, right? Yeah. So that would be my only critique here. But I mean, the moment is freaking fantastic. So
yeah, agreed. I like that. I definitely think a little bit of a crop, pulling the bottom right corner up could just solve that really easily as well, especially if you can't get it out there. All right. Mike, I was kind of curious of your thoughts initially of this one, because I think Jen and I really, really like this one. I think the word Dune came up with it because of the gnarliness of it and the scale with the cars and the worms from Dune. Yeah, like a sandworm, and it's gigantic and the cars are tiny. Made us think of Dune a little bit.
What's Dune?
Oh, shut up.
No, I'm kidding. I just saw the second one. Jen, you
Good
okay?
for you. You actually had time to see it. Good for you.
Yeah, I saw the second one the other night, and actually one of those seats that vibrates and moves with it.
Oh, wow.
So yes, it does look like the sandworm. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a really cool scene. I think the cars make it. To be honest with you, I think this is kind of a example of, a tornado shot's a tornado shot unless there's something a little bit more to help kind of bring in a story. Take out the cars for a second here, and you have a tornado, right? Bring in the cars, all of a sudden you have a story, and you have scale, and you have movement. There's a feeling to the image all of a sudden. I would like to see that bottom left side a little cleaner, to where the headlights that are leading the line there not be hovering right on the edge of the frame. But is what it is. Those are just things that are very easier said than done after the fact, right? But just something to kind of keep in mind. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, really cool moment. But like I said, I think the cars make this, because without the cars, it's just a tornado shot. With the cars, all of a sudden you have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, great scale, and I think that's the and I think Jen probably agrees with me. When we were talking about Dune, it was, I don't know that it looks like a sandworm, but in the movie you see this giant sandworm explode from the dust, and the scale of how big it was compared to the people is what this image reminded me of, because without the cars, like you said, it's just a tornado image, and then they give you such a scale and such a story. So
And the tones too did it for me.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that first shot where he's running from it, and it's barely dawn, and the shadows are just waking up, and you just peer and you see all those little details. And I feel like there's a lot of those textural elements happening here. It's like finely controlled, and it's darker and moodier, but I like that.
Yeah.
And something I didn't notice until, as you see me doing this, I'm not like trying to like smack you guys or anything like that. I'm just covering up because there's a glare. One of the things that I'm seeing now that I really do like is you have this layering of green and brown and green and brown. So you get that kind of repeating pattern in a way of pulling you out there to the tornado, which is pretty cool.
All right, we'll go to this dreamy, wispy AI photo, of course, that Tim Marcus sent in. I'm just kidding. But this is Jen loved this one because of how it leads you into the image, how the tornado and the light and the lines, everything. Mike, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, beautiful lines. You got really nice dark to light in the foreground pulling you out there. You got your warm to cool again. You've got this really ghostly tornado. And I think if I remember reading their posts about this day, this was like a day that was not supposed to have anything. So being able to walk away with something like this, and it's a cute, friendly tornado, which are some of my favorite ones to photograph, right? You get the violent tornadoes and they look scary and all that, but they're not necessarily like those tornadoes where you're like, oh, I could hang this on my wall. This is a very artistic approach to storm photography. That's what I get from it. So I think it's wonderfully done, wonderfully processed. It looks like they did some work in very localized manners on the tornado to kind of help accentuate that, which is appreciated. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful shot. Honestly, probably one of my favorite tornado shots I've seen in a while.
All right, we'll go on to this one. I agree with that. The light on this one is pretty incredible and super dark and moody. Mike, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, straight out of Wizard of Oz 2024. Very, very nice tornado. The light makes it, right? I mean, the tornado's great. Light makes it. I love the fact that it's almost like a black and white, almost question mark, but not. The one thing that, once again, just kind of reiterate that I'd like to see is crop out a little bit more of the foreground there, since it's all just kind of crunched out. And what I see, what kind of grabs my attention right off the bat, kind of could be kind of fun depending on their artistic style, is on the right side you got that dirt, right? I think it's dirt or rain. Lights hitting the computer.
I think it's dirt.
So you got that dirt over there on the right side of the frame. It's really dark. On the left-hand side, you got some rain, dirt, stuff kind of moving in as well. If you came in, you kind of maybe burned a little bit on the left-hand side, then you're going to create this kind of window framing between the two sections of dirt or / rain that kind of push your audience's eye directly into that void, which is the tornado. So that's just kind of a thought there, but I think it's really freaking fantastic. Tornado, nice shot. Just a small crop on the bottom to kind of get rid of that that black void.
Yeah. All right, we go to this one. I think, Jen, I can't remember what you said about this one, that it was.
I think I called it yummy.
Yeah.
I love the colors and the tones. I feel like I say that constantly, but it's like sherbet or something. Like it's delicate and balanced, and there's a softness to it. It's a very classic, and that might have been the first thing I said. It looks like a classic to me. This looks like it should be on the DVD cover of, like, a 1990 compilation of something. So there are a lot of things I really enjoy about this image, and I like that you can see kind of that blocky structure on the top half. It balances well with the bottom, warm and cool tones. Just lots of really beautiful things happening here.
Mikey.
All of Jen's critiques make me hungry. I want sugar. A beautiful tornado. Nice frame here. Like that it's level, right? And I do appreciate the little bit wider shot of it, right? To have a little bit more of the structure above. I do feel like there's a little bit of competing with the brightness of the top left and kind of the brightness of the tornado behind. Like, maybe just keep that structure, but pull down. I'm sorry, this stupid announcement again. Pull down the highlights a little bit, or maybe the whites just a little bit up there. Or what might be a little bit better is to work it a little bit more dodging and burning on kind of the base of the cloud. Maybe burn that a little bit, and the tornado on the right side, and dodge on the left a little bit. That way, you just kind of make it a little bit more three-dimensional. I think that's kind of what gets me here. So it looks a little flat. There is a lot of dimension to it, but it looks a little flat. So dodging and burning a little bit of localized contrast can help bring that out. So if you really kind of maybe bring up the luminance values of the kind of the yellowish golds in the background, or possibly dodge those, and then darken the clouds, you can create more separation and more of that three-dimensionality to it.
All right, we'll go to this one, which we did talk about, I think, in Photo of the Year, or probably Portfolio as well. I don't remember. I'll just remember that I wasn't there. So, Mike, what do you think about this one, which I know you talked about already, but spectacular shot.
Yeah, no, fantastic shot. And, I think the two images kind of back to back kind of show the difference between being very close to the tornado versus being further away. And I think what has become more impressive throughout the years is seeing shots that are incorporating the entire structure of the storm. These storms are alive, show the life of the storm, and then the tornado is, part of that, right? There's more of a story with the wider shot, and I love that it once again gives the scale to it. And this is a class example. Kind of reflecting back in the days when Skywarn's classes were really, really big, and you go there and you'd be like, oh, what's the structure of a supercell look like? This is like your little diagram, right? So you can see everything working here, which I love. So I think it's a great shot. Great risk from being a little further away, and a great reward for that.
All right, Jen, I know you really like this one and the composition and everything. I'm gonna let you say some crap about it, and then let Mike talk about it, and then this is our last image. So, go ahead.
I think my favorite thing about this image is the parallel. It's almost a mirror of the line in the tornado with the line in the foreground where that dirt and the grass meet. It does make me want to shift or widen the frame slightly, but I mean, that's just a weird thing that my eye is doing. But yeah, I think the colors are really beautiful. I like that they took care with the foreground and that, you know, it wasn't falling too deep into shadow. I think that happens a lot, especially when we're focused on something bright in the background with that tornado. So I really appreciate all the attention to the color and the detail there as well.
Yeah, no,
Thoughts?
what Jen said right off the bat is something that I caught and I love. Is it like almost like if you were to flip this image, it would have the same kind of contouring with the brown and the green right there with the tornado,
Yeah.
which is really nice. Scale, I don't know where everybody's finding all these really cool farms. I don't think they exist. I think they're put in there. You know, it's just beautiful to have that scale there, and also like that kind of it almost, you know, it's such a beautiful tornado. You don't really get the impending doom feeling, but it kind of brings it in just a little bit because you're like, well, is that gonna hit that? You know, and yeah, I think it's really well done. I love the fact that you can see all the dirt being kind of pulled up there and the debris. I think maybe, yeah, I agree with Jen. Just a small little pan to the right, just a little bit, and a little bit wider. But yeah, the evacuation alarm's going off, so I'm going to stop.
Oh man, Mike has to leave again. Yeah, I agree. You could either pan it to the right, you could crop up a little bit, or maybe even give it a 16:9 to make it to pull in. You could get rid of like some of the dirt up front and like maybe make these trees like the low part of the frame. But I just really like the detail in the fact that the tornado, you can see it spinning, like you get this feeling of it spinning with the wispiness of it, and then the dust on the ground. It kind of adds a lot. If you really stare at that, you kind of get the idea like, yeah, this looks really peaceful, but it's also churning up the ground right there. And I pray it's not, you know, coming this way or that there's no other farm over there. So, all right, those are our top 11, and cannot wait to see who wins. I feel like it's going to be a tough judging battle, and good luck to everybody who made it this far.